Well, hello, good people of Ubitobis. I happen to be the Tenkaichi of gaming, and yeah, for the time being, I'm a jarhead. Anyway, to follow up with the game I just received last week, this is a clear-cut, in-depth review of this game, namely called Hokuto no Ken Ken's Rage 2. Or Fist and sorry, Ken's Rage 2. Now this one is a bit different than the first game, which is Ken's Rage 1. The difference here is this mainly follows the anime and manga to about Rao's end. This, however, follows up to the Shura arc. So basically, this one is the more definitive version than this version. Now, I'm not knocking the first one, but there are so many things that have been improved since the last game. For instance, one being that Kenshiro and the rest of the cast have been upgraded. They no longer move stiff or slow in their attacks, because as you remember in the first game, for those who own the PS3 version or the Xbox 360 version, they move quite slow, and more than likely they move too slow for their own good. Even when they were doing their most devastating attacks, it was quite slow. Another thing that was different here than the first one is whenever you did the attack, it just showed it all anime style. Like Hokuto Hakuretsuken, or the 100 Crack Fists in our Star, or the Muso Tensei, the Hokuto Muso Tensei, otherwise known as the Unconscious Migration of Souls. That has been pretty much turned into like well, it's just a move. It's more like a Muso move now than Hokuto Shinken, Hokuto no Ken style, I should say. I shouldn't say Hokuto Shinken because it's a style, but it's more like Muso instead of your Hokuto no Ken style. Another thing I've noticed about this game is that seeing that this is the more extended version, or the more complete version, you can actually there are more characters. So there's like over 20 playable characters. So that means just about every person in the game that you will face is in this version. Besides Kenshiro, Rao, Toki, and Jagi, there are the others like Falco, Han, Kyle, Bat, Rin, Salza, Fudo, Yuga. All the list is unquestionably crazy. But most of the cast is rather most of the cast is just in here. Even the lesser known characters like the Outlaw and Commanders and whatever else. Now there of course are two modes, but the thing about the two modes is it's been pretty good. I mean, two modes of course are Legend mode, which basically goes through the manga. And when I say it goes through the manga, there is no hint of the anime whatsoever. They just basically go straight from the manga, and I find that a good thing because not many people know about the manga. So for those who like to read about the manga and you really want to know more about the manga, this is the better version, whereas Part 1 mainly focused on the anime for the most part. Now, it doesn't have any DLC, it's more like in-game content. And basically, the in-game content is pretty good. I mean, you unlock characters throughout the course of Legend Mode. And of course, through Legend Mode, you come across a couple of characters that mainly made a staple in the series. And I have to say, this version is a little bit more darker because, well, it is because the manga was pretty dark. Now, there are lots of good things about this game that I can totally say it was worth it. For one, in-game, the story is set up just like the manga, in which you would read a manga from right to left. Like, for instance, say for instance, Rurouni Kenshin. Of course, what you would do is, you see how the book is, you don't read from left to right like normally. This is normal how we do it. But in the Japanese, you start from the left to right. You start from right to left instead of left. And from this way, you start from this way. But mainly it's just like this. That's how it plays out in the manga. It plays out just like this. And which I do like because, you know, it keeps the feel of the manga. Like, you're reading the comic just as it is, but, you know, instead of, you know, seeing text bubbles, the scene is played out. And I like that because, as a writer, that's how my stories are like. They just basically are like that. Whenever I read something, it's like I'm looking at it and the scene itself plays out just like that. Which is a perfectly good thing. For sometimes, you know, the manga is like that. But seeing that it is what it is, the game is basically badass. I mean, pretty much. I haven't went through Dream Mode yet, but I can say this. Dream Mode is a bit different because, in this case, they had a few little niches involved, like team play and co-op, which of course has been mentioned in the last game, but it hasn't been like that, in which two players can actually play on the field. And in Dream Mode and Ken's Rage Part 1, you just only have Dream Mode, which is the only way to co-op. And then you have this version, which you can play online with this. I mean, I for one agree to this. It says here it's for 1 to 2 players, online multiplayer is about 2 to 8 people, because you got team mode and you got co-op. So I can say this was worth the money, and this was also worth the recommendation. Now, believe it or not, one of the RCO members actually recommended it to me, and I'm grateful for her to actually recommending this game to me. And that person is Shinori Doc, And I'd like to say thank you for actually recommending this game to me 2 weeks ahead of the release, in which I did happen to pre-order this, paid in full online, basically waiting until the day of its release to get it. And once again, I have to say thank you. This was the best purchase I could possibly get for so long, because I'm an otaku. I love my anime. I'm not a hardcore otaku, but I love me some anime, especially if it's an old anime like this. And by the way, this game is, of course, an anniversary game because
still looking for homeboy said looking in 8 cities, and they had 200 dogs up there in the mountains. They ain't saw nothing. They're looking in for them all the way to Las Vegas. Now they got them $1,100,000 for each bed.
Whatever.
For the picture.
Do I honestly give a shit? I do not care. Big deal. Who was indeed doing a... Never mind. Anyway, what I was saying before was... Anniversary. Yes, anniversary. As you well know, the series came out in 1983. 30 years later, it's still standing tall. As you can see back here, in small print, it is the 30th anniversary of Hokuto no Ken. And I have to say, for a series being 30 years old, it has been kicking ass and taking names ever since. Forgive the little intrusion back there. I really didn't care for much of what he was saying about some news report that I don't really give two shits about. But anyway, this game, for anyone who has a PS3 or 360, get it. You will love it. No, really, you will love it. I stake my namesake on it. Trust me. It is worth getting, and it is worth trying out for yourself. If you are a fan of anime, get it. If you're a fan of the manga, get it. Or if you just like Fist and North Star, just get it just because. It's worth $59. It's worth $59, really. It is that much. Now you can do two options. You can actually wait till the price goes down, because this will eventually drop. Mark my words, it will eventually drop, and then after that, go get it. Try it. You might like it. The one thing I was surprised about with this game was the fact that you could play as Fudo. You couldn't play as Fudo before, nor could you play as Shu or Hyuga or even say Juzo. You couldn't even play as them. You couldn't even play as the 5 chariot generals, which I found amazing. Well, 4 out of 5. You couldn't even play as the I forgot his name, Ryohaku, I think. Ryohaku of the Oceans. You couldn't play as him, but you could play as the other 4 chariot guardians. And I'd say where I am right now in the game, I am near the end of the first part of Hokuto no Ken, in which Ken takes on Rao for the last time after he's found Yuria. So, therefore, I am enjoying this game, and once again, thank you. Thank you for this wonderful, wonderful piece of anime history, because to me, I love me some Fist of North Star. Not only is it the most kick-assable anime alive, and I swear no other anime in the world could possibly match up to it. But it is the first anime that taught me to fear, respect a series as awesome as this. Really, I was 5 years old, watched it. I basically ran away after seeing the sight of blood, and I just turned the tape off. Years later, watched the series from start to finish, the movies too, and like I said, it to me it's like it's the greatest anime because it taught me to fear and respect something so awesome like that. So don't judge me. I was a kid when it happened, so therefore, nah. And to everyone else saying, you mumble too much. Well, the last video that featured gameplay of it was more like a first impressions video, and not more like a review. This one is more of a review than a first impressions. So therefore, there you have it. But until the next time, folks, this review is over. And once again, this game that I'm currently still playing is Hokuto no Ken Kenrage 2 or Ikari no Ken 2. And this is brought to us by Koei Tecmo or Tecmo Koei of 2013. And I have been, of course, the Tenkaichi of Gaming, Cookie Izzy 7. And I'll see you next time with more videos. So until then, take care, God bless, and of course, Tenkai Muso!